Hey, welcome back to Socialette. This is episode 400. Before we jump into today's episode, I want to let you know that Launch Magic Live is coming up on the 24th and 25th of Feb 2022. So, Launch Magic Live is the 2-day virtual event that will give you the strategy, motivation, and momentum that you need to have your first or your biggest launch yet. I've brought in 6 guest experts to teach you exactly what's working in launching and in audience growth right now, not what worked 3 years ago. So you can check out the speaker lineup and grab your ticket at stephtaylor.co/LML or at the link in the show notes. All right, now on to today's episode 170. So I've been writing a book and I've been saying that for the last 2 years. But the funny thing is, the book that I'm publishing now, the book that is actually going to be on sale very, very soon, isn't that same book that I started writing 2 years ago. That book isn't quite ready. And I don't mean that in a, it's not ready, it needs to be perfect kind of way. I mean it more in that it doesn't have, or I don't have the experiences and the stories yet to help really bring that book to life. I'm not really the right person to tell that story just yet. And I need to be a little bit further along in my business journey to do so. So, the book that I actually ended up writing and that will be on shelves very soon is a launch book. It's all about launching, which is strangely not what I wanted to write about initially. I never really wanted to write a how to guide, I never wanted to write something that was really nitty gritty. But this book, once I started writing it, it started to flow. And it's called 99 Launch Lessons. It will be out very, very soon, sooner than you think. And I'm going to read to you one of the launch lessons that I share inside the book. Okay, so here we Okay, so you'll only launch when you're ready, will you? Sorry to ruin the ending, but you're never going to feel ready. Nobody will ever hand you a certificate declaring you qualified to take action. You're not going to wake up one morning suddenly free of fear and self doubt. Right now, you're as ready as you'll ever be. How did reading that make you feel? Did it bring up a little discomfort? Good, because I'm a big believer in leaning into the things that feel uncomfortable. Comfort zone cliches aside, doing something that feels scary right now is what leads to your long term growth. It feels scary because it's unfamiliar to you, but how can you expect to create something new without doing something new first? Sure, you can think about your idea a little more, you can plan until the cows come home. These things trick you into thinking you're taking action, believing that you're moving closer to the finish line, but you won't move forward until you actually start doing the thing. Your launch plan is a map. It's never going to be able to capture every single detail of reality. If it included every detail, it would be way too complex to serve its purpose as a map. I can guarantee that there will be speed bumps that you didn't think of, challenges you couldn't have predicted, forks in the road that aren't on your map. These curveballs are what makes business interesting. You can never thoroughly plan for them, but the more you deal with them, the quicker you bounce back from them. Launching for the first time can feel a little bit like you're walking on a tightrope. You tell yourself you mustn't fall off, but then you fall and you realize you weren't very far off the ground. You pick yourself up, admire your bruises, and get straight back on the tightrope. This time, you know that failure isn't as painful as you thought it would be. So you walk faster. You feel more confident. Here's the thing, it never stops feeling like a tightrope. You become more comfortable and your balance improves, but the tightrope only gets higher. The things that feel scary to you right now will feel trivial in a year's time. 4 years ago, I was afraid of teaching my first live webinar to 20 people. These days, I regularly have more than 500 people showing up live. There's no way I'd be able to teach this many people without leaning into the discomfort of that first webinar. I could only expand my comfort zone by embracing that fear. Your launch might feel so overwhelming that you don't know where to start taking action, so you don't do anything. You tell yourself you need to plan a little more, but the more you plan, the more overwhelming it gets. What's that very first tiny step you can take? Do that today. Take that first step, then rinse and repeat. All right, that's one of the 99 launch lessons from my upcoming book. I hope you enjoyed that. You learnt something from that. I'm super excited to publish the book, and I will keep you posted on when it's available to purchase. But in the meantime, we do have Launch Magic Live coming up in just a couple of weeks. Sooner than I thought it would. It's really come around quite quickly. It's been a bit of a labor of love over the last few months, and it's been really exciting because it's been the first project that I've been able to work on with my new integrator in the team. And it's been really fun to have somebody who's got that project planning experience to help me bring it to life rather than just me relying on all of the things that are in my head and winding up exhausted and overwhelmed. All right. If you have any friends who you think would benefit from listening to this episode, please do tell them about this podcast. Please feel free to share this episode with them. And if you have not yet left a rating and a review, I'd really appreciate it if you could inside your podcast app. Thank you so much for listening.